Hi, I'm Becca Otis from Five Lines Pottery in Indianapolis, Indiana.
And I'm Ryan Durbin from RD Ceramics, located in Southgate, Kentucky.
And welcome to Wheel Talk.
Hey guys, we've loved answering all of your questions so far. If you'd like to hear your question on the podcast, please send them to us on Instagram at Wheel Talk Podcast or by email to wheeltalkpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks.
Hi,
Hi, Ryan.
we're live.
We're live. I guess it's not different than last week, but it's a little different for us to be in this, to be doing what we're doing. We've had two of these questions. What are we calling them again?
Live Q&A.
Live Q&A, and this was our second one, and we're recording after, we just talked to Cindy, and you'll hear it in a second, and so we just talked to Cindy, and then we're doing the little intro, as you will. We probably won't say too much about how we're doing, because
We just talked recently.
we did just talk recently. I will say one update.
Yeah, let's hear.
Ryan already knows, but I didn't want to say it publicly until it happened. But Miss Babbles, Miss Chunkerton Waddleball,
Babarooski.
Miss Babarooski has found a new home, kind of.
What?
I know.
What?
So
She's coming to my house.
she's coming. So
my friend cat Marble.
My friend Sarah, who was the one who found Babs originally, they left for a couple, a week and a half, 2 weeks, and we were at their house the whole time, and Babs was just the happiest she could ever be. And I just kind of decided that Babs would be a lot happier in a home that didn't move.
Was Babs an outdoor cat when you got her?
Well, she was outdoor, but I don't think she was intended to be outdoor cat. So apparently she jet off from the owners, and just showed up at Sarah's front porch and just fucking loved on her. So,
okay.
And Sarah and Babs have this weirdly special bond that is just as tight as can be. They are soulmates. So yeah. I feel very good about leaving her in her care, and I'm there every Friday anyway, so it's not like I'm there all the time, so it's not like I'm not going to see Miss Babbles. I am very sad, but also it's best for her and Lloyd. Also, we have to consider both cats, and I think that Lloyd just needs to be a Lone Ranger, I
mean, Lloyd's your favorite, you can admit it.
No, I think I like Babs more than Lloyd, but I don't know.
I don't believe that.
I fucking love Lloyd. I don't know why. Lloyd's like the problem child.
Lloyd had a brother that was with him, and you were like, "Fuck you, Floyd. It's all Lloyd over here." And then you're like, "All right, let's bring another one in." Nope. See ya, Babs.
No, Lloyd just does not work well with others.
I mean, he does respond to you pretty good, though. You can call him and he'll come over, which is really good for living in the van and, being around.
A lot of the issue with Babs is that recently she's been really hesitant to get in the van. I have to, wait for her to get in the van. She's she'll stand there and look at the van and be like, I don't want to go in. And so I can just tell that she's just not as happy as she could be. And I don't want to keep her in a situation that's just not optimal for her. And I love her dearly, but it's not really about me. So it's more about the cat. And Sarah is going to give her the best fucking home she could ever have. So
Well, Rachel and I talked about it, so if there's any reason that Sarah cannot handle Babs, we would be willing to house Babs if we needed to.
This is a change from last year when I was like, I'm going on the road and I don't think Babs is going to handle it well. And they were like, no, but then they had 1 week with her and they were like, oh, we love her.
Babs is like I feel like Babs would be way more flexible with other cats than.
Yeah.
I mean, not just Lloyd or Babs, but like of the cats that we've interacted with,
sure.
like she's more like she could be on her own and the other cats wouldn't bother that much.
Yeah, she's pretty much a lone ranger for sure. And I really do think that she'll like interact with another cat quite well if they're not mean towards her. You know, Lloyd was pretty assholey to her at the beginning of their relationship, so he kind of put a chip on her shoulder. Yeah, like I really do want to keep her, but it's just like I just keep thinking about going to the Upper Peninsula and like accidentally losing her or her not wanting to get in the van, and like I would feel terrible. So
Yeah.
like
That's
Lloyd,
true. Like that's really hard if you don't have like a go-to thing that will entice her and she will like get out of the traffic or something like.
Yeah, like there was one night while Sarah and Joe were gone and we were sleeping at their like in their yard or whatever, Babs wouldn't come in the van. And I had to sleep with the door open. So like, and I just like I can't do that.
Yeah, that's a
So
risk to you too. You wouldn't want to have.
yeah, and like it's not the nicest neighborhood, but I was fine. But like, yeah, I just can't. She's not up for the van life, which is fine. Not very many cats would be.
Yeah. Lloyd loves it.
Lloyd loves it, and that's enough. And Babs just needs a big, tall pile of weeds to like sleep in all day. So that's really what she wants.
Chunkerton Waddle Pot?
Chunkerton Waddle Ball.
Waddle Ball.
Chunkerton Waddle Ball.
Very good. Very good.
Yes.
I don't think I have any updates for you. This poison ivy or whatever is kicking my ass over here. I've been scratching it all night.
You got poison ivy?
Yeah, I was cleaning out some brush out in the backyard around the big tree right off the patio here. It had a bunch of ivy and stuff growing around. Well, not just ivy, but it had a bunch of stuff around the base of the tree that was smothering it. So I was cutting it back and got it pretty good on my legs and a little bit on my arms. And it's really hard to not scratch it. But I got some medicine for my dad that's had, it's got the steroid cream with it and for poison ivy. So that's been helping, but it's so persistent. It's annoying. But yeah, I got some time in the studio yesterday, which was really nice. I got to throw a whole bunch of shit.
I saw that.
The first time in forever. Like I was looking at my chart for the month and I think the last time I threw was probably the first week of May. And it's the last 2 days of May. So
wow.
I mean, it's hard to look back and be like, what was I doing in that time? But I think it's just all these other commitments of taking time away. And then you have to make dinner and that takes an hour and then you're eating an hour and 15, hour 30, 2 hours we record. Like there's just so many. And then you got shows to prep for. So like those have been a big thing. So, but it's nice to get back to the wheel. Getting some stuff restocked, getting some wholesale orders fulfilled. Well, a couple. And yeah. So I don't think there's any big stories or anything going on. I told you I did the farmers market this past weekend. We just talked about that earlier, but sold $550 at it. Not the greatest, but it was fine. It was comfortable.
Yep.
And yeah, I'll be doing some more of those later this year probably because they're so easy.
Yeah, that's nice.
I was thinking about reaching out to the one that's right up the street, but it's on. So it's actually it's the Campbell County one, which is the whole area county we live in, and there's a Highland Heights one that's 3 minutes from me or whatever. And I'm like, should I do this one because it's like in my backyard? I get more customers that are like right here. But it's on Tuesdays from 3 to 6, and I'm like, do I want to take off work a few times to do this? Is it worth it? Am I going to get sales? So.
Yeah.
What time? You're doing the farmers markets now, aren't you?
Yeah, I start tomorrow.
Oh, really? Okay. How
I'm
long are you doing
excited.
it?
I'm just doing June.
Okay, so the whole month of June you're gonna do it every Thursday?
Every Thursday. I wasn't gonna do it, and then like a week ago I was like, I could do it. Like if I hit it hard in June, maybe I won't have to do anything in July and August, you know. So and I can really focus on just doing online stuff. So yeah, I messaged her, and I think I'm just gonna. She said $75 for the month. So,
well, that's great.
Yeah, and then me and Deanna are next to each other again, and Haven's on the other side of us, I think. And yeah, the gang's all here.
And you get 5 Thursdays in the month of June. So.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, the 29th is on. The month starts on a Thursday, so I mean, you get an extra one in there that you would typically not get.
Oh,
so
I didn't know that.
$35 for 5 of them.
Also, I have to tell you something funny. So, I may get a kind of like. I know I said I was never gonna do this again, but I need the money, so here we are.
A job, or a
no. No. No, I got a scoop from somebody about a mug club, and they didn't want to do it, and so.
Oh my God!
I know.
Mugs.
I know.
What is the world coming to? Becca's making
I don't know.
mugs.
It's really good. It's $30 a mug. So.
Wow.
So.
Like a brewery kind of deal.
Yeah, and I think she wants 10 at first. I'm gonna just do one sample first, and if she doesn't like it, that's fine. She doesn't have to have me do them. I don't fucking care.
So she's like subcontracting the mugs to you to production make them, or like you are doing it as part of Five Lines Pottery.
I'm gonna make them. I don't know what you meant by subcontracting, but she needs 10 mugs to fill out some of the mugs she has for her current brewery, and then she has a new brewery coming up too. So I don't know.
You're talking to the brewery owner.
Yeah.
Okay, the way you're talking about it sounded like somebody was a lead.
Well, somebody was a lead. Somebody was a lead, but then she just gave it to me. So.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, and the lady was like, she's like, does the beer, what did she say? I love
the beer stay cold in these?
Yeah. No. She said, I guess she has an issue with beer like being too foamy. And she says, do you have any issues with the beer foaming like crazy in your mugs? And I was like, I don't think so.
Sounds like a pourer's error.
That's what I think, but it's fine. And the sample that she has is, I'm not saying the brewery. The handles are pull off the top and go down, but they don't look as nice as your handles. And I was like, I'll do them, but my handles are gonna be different. And she said, can you make the attachment more like the example of my mug? I need them to be really strong. And I was like, mine would be stronger than your mug. and she's like, really?
Showing you the current mug? Is that what you mean?
Yes. Okay. And it's just like I haven't talked to somebody that doesn't know anything about clay in a minute. And it's just, wow. I was like, if I give her the sample and she's at all picky, I'm out. I'm fucking out.
I think she's gonna be ecstatic about what you show her, though.
Maybe, hopefully, I don't know. Hopefully. But
So you're going mug. It's gonna have a badge for the logo, I'm guessing. Is it gonna be screen print or is it gonna be stamped?
Stamped.
Okay.
So I need to get some iron, I guess.
One color?
I told her she has like a bunch of different colors. I'm just gonna dip them in one color and maybe put white on top. I'm not gonna do anything fancy.
Okay. Wow. So what's the potential quantity of the order if you were to get it?
If I was to get the full order, it'd be 150 mugs.
See, I want to do that, but I'm like scared. I've been saying I wanted to do that for like 3 years and I've never done it because I don't think I can balance the quantity with the show season.
Yeah.
But that sounds
well,
fun. Not the
what's
badge part. The badge part sucks, but
the what badge part sucks. But I did all of Josh. I did like 100 of Josh's badges when I went down and up and visited him. I'm fine with badges. It's fine. But
$30 a mug? That's great.
That's great.
How did you have to negotiate that, or did she throw that out there like this is what I paid?
That's the price she gave to the first person.
Oh my gosh, because she's selling them as a club, and I'm guessing she's selling them for like at least double that, right? $60 for probably $75. I don't know.
I don't even fucking know.
I don't know how they determine what they price that.
So typically you pay like $100 for the mug club, and you get the mug at the end of the year, and that's what's supposed to happen. You get the mug at the end of the year, and your pour is 20 ounces instead of 16 ounces, and you get that difference for free. So you would pay for a 16-ounce pour, but you get 20 ounces.
Oh, so they're still getting the money every time. Okay, I was thinking they get free drinks or something. I mean, they're getting free 4 ounces.
Yeah, they're getting a free 4 ounces.
Basically. Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that sounds like a great price. $100 for, well, I don't know. $100 for the mug. I mean, obviously you'd have to drink enough to offset the free that you're getting every time to make it financially better for the.
But a lot of people just do it to support or just to have a fucking mug on the wall, you know?
Right. Okay. Sweet.
So yeah, I'll have to.
We'll see how that goes.
I haven't made handles in a while, and I was thinking about making 2 different kinds. I was thinking about doing a pulled handle. I might make 2 examples, doing a pulled handle and then doing an extruded strap handle and seeing which one she likes better. So.
Okay.
But it's just hard to be like, bro, I got 15 years in this motherfucker. Like, what I give you is going to be good. You know?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to give you a shitty fucking product. Yes, of course they're going to be strong. They're made of fucking clay.
I think if you show her something that's amazing and she's happy with, then she'll be flexible on, like, these are the colors I can offer and this is what I got. And, like...
Yeah.
And then you're already getting $30 a mug, so like that's awesome. That'll fucking sustain you for a good piece right there.
I know, but the only issue is that it would be straight. Like I'm gonna if this thing goes down, like I'm giving her a sample next week. I did the math too. If this thing goes
$4,500.
Yeah, that's like 2 months of all. Okay. If this thing goes down, it would be I'm getting a sample to her next week, and I imagine if she likes it, then I'm gonna I think if she wants the like 600 and whatever, I think that has to happen by July. So I would have to like do it during the show season. But like I can do 100 mugs, and especially they're 20-ounce mugs. I could do 100 mugs in 3 days. 150 in probably like 4 days.
What about you could do 100 mugs in 3 days?
150 in like 4 and
badges?
Do the badges. Oh, easy.
Oh my gosh. That's optimal Becca though. What's realistic Becca?
No, that is realistic Becca. If I did 50 a day.
Back to back to back?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a fucking cylinder. It's not like we're going crazy here. If I did 50 a day, and I don't have enough, I have enough space. So if I do 50 a day, I don't trim. I just roll. Roll and stamp in the bottom. Because they need to be flat anyway, because you have to stamp the numbers. So if I just cut them off and smooth the edges. And I have 9 times 3 is 27. Plus 9 times 3, 27. So 27, about 50 a day. I can store here. And then I can, in the morning, I can pull them off, thumb them off, and then get handles on them, and then badge them, and then throw that night, and then do it again. Like, if I really wanted to, like, give myself time, 6 days.
Okay. Nice.
Now, glazing will be a fucking bitch, but, you know, it's fine. I have to, because you have to, like, iron the badge. You have to fucking wax this fucking badge. You gotta.
That'll add time, for sure. And then you've also got to keep up with whatever you're taking to and from markets in those farmers markets every week. And
right, but I'm doing mostly jewelry, and I've got a shit ton of backstock because apparently now I'm Ryan Durbin. So
Are you backstocking Bisqueware?
Yes.
Love it. Look at this. Got the fire under? I mean, the fire under your asses, I guess. Like,
look at that. Look at all this.
I know. Wow.
Yeah, and I've got like all of these boxes filled with things, and yeah, I'm doing pretty okay. I did the red clay today. I'm gonna do more red clay tomorrow. And I've been going back and forth between red and white, red and white, red and white. So yeah, I'm doing okay.
There's some saying about making seed while the hay is optimal, or I don't know what. Something like you got the drive to do it, so you're doing it.
Well, I'm not making any money right now, so I was like, I might as well just fucking make shit. So that
I mean, there will be a point where you like the shows came up and you're doing the farmers market, so like those are gonna take stock away, and then you're doing like backyard craft, and then you'll have other things that you'll be doing, or you know, this wholesale thing is gonna take time away. So all this work you're doing on earrings is gonna make sense.
Right, and I think it'll be a lot easier if I just do a little bit every day, you know. So that's the goal, and hopefully it pays off. Hopefully I sell them all. That'd be fucking great. So, I mean, and I got to get these fancy cups in the works too.
$4,500 payday coming your way if all works out. Like,
yeah, if she likes them, and I'm not a bitch to her.
What if you made a comeback limited release mug batch and you had fun with them and sold them to customers?
You know, what's crazy is that I made this cup and it's all these and it's all
the underglaze, the speedball underglazes?
It's all speedball underlays, and I just like rough sanded it with like I think it was like a 200 sanded, and I just like hand sanded it all the way around, you know, and it feels great. It's like not like awful, you know, it feels great. So maybe I will. Who knows? Probably not though. I got a good backstock on fancy cups, so yeah.
I think you show yourself making these mugs. Not that you're selling it, like you're doing it for a wholesale, and then like you're teasing it out a little bit, and then you get people comfortable, and you don't make any until the fall maybe when you need to, and then you bring it out and you drop it on the customers, and then you're like, all right, we're doing a limited batch. I could never make a mug ever again in my life, or maybe I will. And you just drop it on them, and you're like, all right, we got 50 mugs here. Go for it.
50 mugs for $150 a piece. I could do that.
Don't know about how feasible that is, but you can fancy
I don't either.
up. I mean, you could fancy up and put a handle on it. Like, you might be able to make that thing like 125. Even if you don't do that crazy sanding, like you could do a...
Right, they wouldn't be like super, super smooth, but they'd be pretty damn good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this wasn't even sanded at Bisqueware and it feels fine. So.
Would you, if you put a handle on something like that, would you glaze the handle?
Yeah, fuck yeah, you would.
Yeah.
I think I'd probably do a straight up and down like this and glaze it so it's like some sort of angle so that you could incorporate it into the design. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
Speaking of design, wow, aren't those L&L kilns just designed so nicely?
That was so smooth.
Thanks. We ruin it every time with complimenting each other about how smooth our transitions are.
As smooth as Becca's bottoms of her pot. You can see your reflection in an L&L kiln.
Yeah, when you get one brand new with a Genesis controller.
Free upgrade.
Free upgrade with
or
those
you could request the Dynatrol if you want as well.
If you want. But I mean, who could resist those lovely element channels and that
has
ease.
Nothing to do with the controller, but okay.
I know. You know what my favorite thing about the Genesis controller is actually though? Is
what?
That you can like so like for instance on my kiln right now, I have a bisque program controlled in there, but somebody, I don't know who, Sarah, deleted it because they put in another program, and I have to find Josh's bisque program again and put it in.
Ooh.
And like, you know, it's not saved and blah blah blah. But the cool thing about the Genesis controller is that like you can put it in and like title it Josh's bisque program, and it's in there forever, and you can put like an unlimited, I don't know if it's unlimited, but a lot of different programs in if you need. And I think that is fucking great.
Yeah, I sometimes worry. I do the the review, pre-segmented programs. I can't remember what the button is for it on a Bartlett.
Yeah.
Or the typical controller, but I do like the user 1 is my first firing, so it's my bisque.
Yeah.
And then user 2 is my glaze, but sometimes I gotta adjust the hold time, or once I'm gonna do some tests with some decals, it'll be nice to just select the one that I know exactly what's gonna happen. It's gonna work exactly the same every time.
Yeah.
And set it and forget it.
And also one of my favorite things about the L&L controllers, there's a few other kilns that have this too, but very few, is that you can actually, there's a little knob on the side of the controller and you can turn it off. And that is fucking great. Like,
you could turn the screen off, or just, what do you mean?
Just like the whole panel, you can just turn off with the little switch on the side.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And like my kiln doesn't have that, and I just like being able to just like turn the whole fucking kiln off. Like even if the kiln's sitting there, it's still taking power, even if it's a little bit, but it's still taking power because of like the control being on, and it's nice to just be able to flip the switch instead of flipping the breaker to just turn it off.
Yeah, I flip the switch off on all my kilns whenever I'm using it, so I don't leave the screen just cycling. Right. I don't know how much energy I'm actually saving by doing that, but I'm just like, why do I need it flipped on?
Yeah, but you don't need it on. Like,
yeah.
Like we haven't used this kiln in here for, I don't know, a couple weeks. And because we just use the baby kiln right now, and it's just on like all the time, So it's like, okay.
Yeah, because you'd actually have to unplug it from the wall or flip the breaker or whatever.
Flip the breaker. Yeah, which I probably should do. But yeah, that's a very simple thing that is just nice,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Where can you get one of those switches
You can get the switches and the Genesis controller and the element channels from hotkilns.com.
Hotkilns.com.
Hotkilns.
Hotkilns. It's like Hot Pocket.
Hot Pocket.
Hot Pocket. Hotkilns.com.
I never ate Hot Pockets as a kid. Did you eat Hot Pockets or still eat Hot Pockets?
I like the lean cuisines better than the Hot Pockets.
What, they
Lean
just
cuisine
had
brand.
Certain flavor? Oh, okay. They didn't have dip.
They tasted a little bit different, I guess, but
what was the go-to version you got from Lean Cuisine? The go-to flavor or whatever.
I feel like there was a pepperoni one that was really good, pepperoni pizza one, and then just ham and cheese. They weren't the best, but you know what I recently discovered that I've just forgotten about. That's like one of those guilty pleasures. Uncrustables.
I've only had like 2 Uncrustables in my life, I think.
If you get an Uncrustable out of the freezer at just the right time, and like where the peanut butter's still kind of hard and the jelly's melted and the bread's soft, but the peanut butter is still a little bit frozen, it's like the best experience you'll ever have. It's so fucking good.
What does the jelly do in the freezer? Does it just get rock hard and you can't even bite into the Uncrustable?
No, I don't think the jelly ever actually honestly freezes all that much. Yeah.
Is there something in that? It seems like it would freeze. Or maybe gelatin as a whole, like, can't
maybe it's
eat.
just like not enough jelly, so when you take it out, it like immediately unfreezes.
Thaws. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I never really had the Uncrustables, but I've never really been a huge fan of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in general. I'm more of like, I don't know. I grew up eating like peanut butter sandwiches, not peanut butter and jelly.
Peanut butter and banana?
Maybe a couple times, but not really. Mostly just peanut butter.
I really do like peanut butter sandwiches, but as I grow older, I like peanut butter and jelly a lot better. I also really enjoy peanut butter and blueberry.
Blueberry? Just
Yeah.
blueberry preserves, or just you're throwing whole blueberries on there?
Whole blueberries, baby.
What?
Yeah, so like it was a test that me and Emmy, my 4-year-old niece, well, she's 5 now, did, because she wanted a peanut butter banana and honey sandwich, and so I made her that. And then I was like, do you want any blueberries on it? She's like, yes, I'd like 3. And so I put 3 blueberries on it, and then I put blueberries on mine, and it's fucking delicious. It's like having jam, but they're blueberries. It's delicious.
Okay. A friend of mine would bring a peanut butter and marshmallow fluff sandwich.
A Nutter Butter?
Is that what they're called?
Yep. I've never had those because we were not allowed to buy marshmallow fluff. But
yeah, I've never had one either.
Like
it seems like it'd be really fucking messy, but
yeah, it does. Anyway, enjoy the chat that we have today with Cindy.
Yeah.
If you're a show goer, this is for you.
Yeah. So. To and from shows, we talk about pricing.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm a little late on my responses because my internet connection was really terrible. But yeah.
All right. Enjoy. Thanks everybody for listening. And thanks Cindy for joining us.
Yeah, thanks.
All right.
All right.
It's recording. We're live.
So today we have a special guest. We're doing another one of our little question with a listener situation. And
I think we're calling it live Q&A.
Live Q&A. That's what we're calling it. Yeah. And we have Cindy. Hey. And I'm not going to pronounce your last name, so you can pronounce it for the people.
Okay there, eh?
So tell us like a little bit about yourself and your business and maybe your business name and all that good stuff. And then
sure.
go from there.
Yeah. So my name is Cindy Chiupka-Jozin. My pottery business is called Green Cabin Pottery, and I really do own a green cabin, and that's what it was named after. I'm from Wawa, Ontario, which is Northern Ontario, Canada, just above the UP from Michigan. So just about 2.5 hours from Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. So, and I make a lot of functional, I call it fun and functional pottery that has Lake Superior as the emblem on it. So that's mostly my themed pottery, and I do a variety of things. You know, the potter's gambit of pottery. So that's what I do.
Nice. It's interesting because our other Q&A was with a Canadian as well. So
yeah,
funny how that happens.
Wow, America.
I won't start singing the national anthem.
I might.
Well, I know you do it so well. I was expecting a little jingle with the live Q&A. I mean,
oh, Canada.
There it is.
Oh, Canada, my home. Is it my home?
Our home? My home?
Our home and native land.
Our home and native land. That's what it is. Yeah. Anyway, so you submitted a question. Do you want to read the question? It's in the chat that we just did.
Sure. Okay. So I was wondering what you, Ryan and Becca, would say about what to take to a show. I've inventoried what I take and what I return, and most times I sell about close to 50%, but that's local and easy. Like it's an easy 50% sell. But it's easy to have two vehicles to unload and reload. That's right. So where my workshop is and where I sell, we have a local market that's special occasion, Mother's Day, July 1st, Canada. We have a fall market and a bundle up, a Christmas market. So where my workshop is, it's like a couple of blocks away. I can load up a vehicle, unload it at the market, get my dad to drive his truck down, unload it with the setup things. So that's what's in there, right? So so I have two vehicles to load and reload, so it's easy that way. But the last local market, I only sold about 30%. So like if I'm like, I did an out of town market, which was 2.5 hours from here. And I had to have pottery, like my mom had to take it down, like 5 boxes down ahead of time because I had no room in my vehicle. So at what point do you decide how much is the right amount to take to a market?
Okay.
What kind of vehicle do you have?
I have a Ford Escape. And
okay. So it's not like a small.
No.
It's an SUV.
Yeah. Like it's
mid-size SUV kind of.
Right. Yeah. And what I had to do is I had to take my dad's truck to unload my setup because I have an A-frame. You take the extra table, you take the tablecloths. Luckily, I didn't have to take a tent. But if I were to put that in as well, there'd be no room for pottery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have, I see it, I'm looking at your Instagram to see your setup a little bit, to see the array and the booth shelving and stuff. So like May 13th from Gooseneck Market, is that pretty reasonable for what you would normally take?
Yeah, so that would be normal. I usually have about 2 tables plus the A-frame. And that was in a tent. That time I brought my own tent. And the weights. Let me tell you, those weights came in handy.
Okay. I'm trying to see I see the weights. You've got the
water weights.
Euramax.
They're the water
plastic.
ones. Yeah.
So those take up a good amount of space in the vehicle too, I would suspect.
Yeah, they weren't too bad. They weren't too bad, but our tents were very close together. So again, the question, inside L, outside L, like how to set it up. I put the A-frame right at the end and then the tables in the middle, sort of sometimes in a T shape. I'll do it that way. Or
Yeah.
this time I did sort of like the outside U, so they had to walk around the outside.
Right. Yeah. Okay. And that A-frame looks like it's going to be pretty big in the vehicle once you get that in there. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't collapse.
It does. It folds.
Oh, it does.
Okay.
So
my dad made it so all the shelves come off and it folds flat.
Okay.
Yeah, but it looks like it's about the height of the tent once it's unfolded. So maybe 6 feet-ish lengthwise when it's folded up, and then all the shelves the shelves are probably 4 feet wide, maybe.
No, they're about a foot and a half.
Well, I'm talking about width.
Yeah, 4 feet.
Yeah, and you got 4 shelves or so. Okay. Because we were trying to work with the real estate in the vehicle. So, like, what's taking up most of the real estate? Is it the shelving and all that?
Goes right up the middle of the car.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so how much to take? Obviously, slimming down your bins and, like, making them as efficient as possible, shrinking the amount of padding you need so you can fit the most work in bins is going to help. Are you doing that for like the mugs? That's a pretty easy thing.
I do. I have like them, like the
cardboard dividers and
and then I put I usually have Rubbermaid containers, and they're not the flat ones like you do. They're kind of like the taller ones, so I can put a layer of flat cardboard in between the layers. So.
Right. Okay. So once that's taken care of, I mean, you could fit as much as you possibly can with the space in your vehicle. Obviously, it does become cumbersome to travel to and from with multiple vehicles. So I remember, are you traveling with somebody as well to those shows?
Yes.
Okay, so you always have to keep a seat free.
Yeah.
Okay. And then whatever luggage you need if you're staying overnight somewhere.
Right.
Okay, so how many days are the shows normally? 1 day, 2 day? Are they all?
No, they're all like 3 to 6 hours.
Okay.
That's it. So the one I did out of town was 6 hours, and I did about the same amount of business or income as I would at a local market for 3 hours.
Man, why are you even doing these out of town shows?
Well, it's kind of like bucket list things, Becca. I want to try, see what it's like going a little bit further than where we're at, because I'm sure I'm going to exhaust the local market. I mean, I did say, what was it? 163, we talked about my wholesale.
Yeah.
It is a tourist town, but it's seasonal. So summer is really busy. It's fishing, hunting. Our highway goes straight across Canada, so it's the major highway across Canada. And so we get a lot of, people traveling coast to coast, or, within Ontario or however far they want to travel. So they're always going by, and it's right along the coast of Lake Superior, right? So we're right. Like, we go to the beach. We go to Lake Superior to the beach. Well, my daughter's gone almost every day because it's 70 degrees here and it's hot. So Lake Superior is a big theme. So I thought, well, I have to try going, to different communities because I'm going to exhaust my market here. So that's why.
Okay. I have an idea for the tent.
Okay.
I think you should put it on the roof.
Yeah, I could do that.
Just the
how about the A-frame?
The tent itself, or the A-frame?
Yeah, both. I mean, like, if you could put all that stuff on the roof and strap it down, and then you could have all of that space free for pots.
Yeah. Is there ever like a variety?
I wouldn't want to strap the tent itself to the roof myself, but the boards and stuff, maybe. I don't know.
Oh, it's fine. My friends used to strap a tent to the roof all the time, and they used to go over a freaking mountain pass.
Okay.
Could do that.
That's a good idea.
I mean, that's my idea for at least space saving, but yeah.
What about the tent? Did you see her tent setup, Becca?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I was wondering if there's I was wondering if there's some shelving or something that could be shrunk that would not be necessary. Like, I see this like tower thing with these things hanging from it. Could those be hung from the tent itself, like the tent framing?
What tower things are you
There's
seeing?
like a tower with something hanging. It looks like hanging planters.
Oh yeah. So
That looks kind of like an oddball item.
Yeah, they could be. It's an oddball item. I did take it out of town. It folds up, like it comes apart too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So it's not a huge footprint.
No.
Okay.
I wonder if you had like an out of town setup and like an in town setup, where like your out of town setup is just a lot less busy and your in town setup is, whatever it is, because you can do whatever. Because I mean, you could carry just a lot more pots with you if you just had a couple table, like maybe you did the A-frame and a couple tables, but left out all the baskets and like that towery thingy. And
or do you transport pots in the baskets? Do you just stack
you do? Okay. Yeah.
My spoon rests and shot glasses and little mise en place go in the baskets, and that's how they go to the market.
Okay, so that's fair.
See, the question is, will I do another out of town? If I ever do an out of town, because you guys do with tents, right? I mean, wherever you go, you do the tents. Whereas the one that I went to in the other community was indoors.
Okay.
So the only time I've ever used my tent was here locally, where I can take like 3 car loads to the market.
How many pieces do you feel like you're taking to a market? Like, let's say the local markets, how many pieces do you feel like you take?
3 to 6 hour market.
Well, Ryan, I'm sure we can look at my spreadsheet and do a
chart.
total.
Cindy's a master spreadsheeter. What we've found out.
Well, I'm a master Post-it note person too, and I'm trying to move to something a little bit more stable than the Post-it notes that fall off the wall.
You should get yourself a little. I wonder if there's just like a tablet that's just like an electronic tablet just for taking notes, like not an iPad or anything, nothing that extravagant, but.
Yeah. So
I personally like the yellow legal pad.
Oh.
This one.
Yeah, that's a nice too.
Yeah.
So
but
is the
off, right? Yeah.
They can, but I like to just turn it over.
Okay.
Okay, I'm looking at Mother's Day 23. I guess that's the most recent one you did.
Yeah.
277 inventory you took?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you actually break it down per item.
Yeah, I do.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty detailed.
Except for the only thing I don't detail is the wine stoppers and the garden markers, because I have a ton of them and I just kind of throw them in the basket.
Okay.
I think that's
it looks like you
fair.
sold 128 of the 277. Correct. 46%.
Right.
Okay.
Now, that Easter one was the one that I did out of town, and I took 308 items and sold 110. So I can see that people didn't know me, perhaps. Like I was the only potter there out of 58 vendors. It was 6 hours. It was the first market of their season of this group, and I really advertised it so the people that live in that community could come and buy their pottery from me. But it was kind of disappointing in the fact that I had taken all of that product and had to bring it all home.
Mm.
So would you be happier if you sold, I guess one way is, are you happier when you sell a more variety of the items that you sell? Like, let's say you have 10 forms and you sell 8 of those 10 forms. Are you happier about that, or just the total sales number in general, whether you sell mostly 4 of those 10 things?
Yeah, I like to include the variety, and that's the way I've sort of validated making such a wide variety, is because the people here locally have my mugs. So what else can I make them to kind of keep them coming back? So that's why I take such a large variety, especially here where I can have
Right.
a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you consider shrinking that variety out of town?
I think I would have to. Like this was the first market I had done out of town. When I see your display, Ryan, I see the variety, but do I actually need that, right? Like,
yeah, my forms I've probably got like maybe 10 different forms. Maybe it's more than that, but I feel like it's about 10 or so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, here's what I think. For outside shows, maybe I would say you probably don't need, like, are we talking about, which one was the show that you did outside? It was the Mother's Day one?
That was an outside tent show, but out of town was the Easter.
Okay.
Easter salt.
Okay, so obviously, like, mugs were a huge seller, garlic jars were a huge seller,
right.
tumblers were a huge seller. So, like, maybe the large stuff you can boot, like the large carved bowls.
Yeah.
I'm sure those take up a ton of space. I would take maybe oil bottles instead of soap dispensers.
They're about the same size.
Yeah.
Like, they're the same size. I think the question was, and here's what I did, Becca, is I look back at my inventory and how much I had sold locally, and I tell you, I can't keep my mugs on the shelf. So I kept panicking, thinking I better take a shit ton of mugs.
Probably up those prices then, huh?
Not enough.
Just a little bit. Just a couple bucks.
I'm getting there.
Yeah.
Getting there. But
that's part of the reason, because your
took
vehicle
65 and I sold 20.
Yeah, that's a lot still, I feel like. But like, you probably didn't need the planters with a base. Like, that's more of a local thing anyway.
Yeah.
Like the fairy doors, I'm sure, is more of a local thing. There's a few things that you've made, I can tell that you've made because you're like, well, I need to keep them busy, I need to keep them interested. And those are the things that you shouldn't be taking to the outside markets. You should be taking the stuff that sells pretty much all the time. So like maybe like and 10 of your chili soup mugs.
That's and the thing is, I do seasonal as well, right? So a lot of time those chili mugs don't come out until Christmas time. Those are a fall thing. But because there had been some requests for them, I thought, well, I'll just take a few of those, and I'll take a few. Like, then you look at the price point, you want to take some less expensive things to the more expensive things. So I was surprised when one of my fruit bowls went, because that was, one of my larger, more expensive items. And I'm surprised that the soap dispensers, oil bottles don't go faster, but they just.
And those are at $45.
Yeah.
Canadian, right?
Canadian. Yes.
Okay. See, when I think of the make sure to have a variety of price points, like, I try not to like even out the quantity so that I have an even distribution of those price points. I just try to have something in a variety of price points. Just like if you have your high end items, I might only have like 5 things that are high end that are more than like $70.
Okay.
But, I try not to have an equal distribution of those, because I know the sweet spot is about $35 or so for a typical order, 35 to 40.
Yeah.
So like the mugs and stuff are pretty, even your
Like my
garden
spoon
markers,
rests.
you know.
Spoon rests gone, right? But then my spoon rests aren't.
Yeah, I mean, you sold 63% of your spoon rests at that
Yeah.
remote show. So, like pour overs, I would leave those at home unless you do your local ones. I mean, you will get random requests from people at shows like, "Hey, do you make
Yeah.
this?" And you can also say like, "Hey, I do make this, and here's how you can
Yeah.
find me." Or if you sell
That's
it
true.
online, that's nice. You can get follow-ups.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to keep my online very limited as well. Just to the basic items, just so I can try to stay on top of things. It's not working, but let's just.
But if you're willing to like email with someone,
yeah,
and I would
definitely.
say get their
That's
email if
good.
you can, and say, "Hey, I do have some at home. Give me your email, and I'll contact you and show you what I have." That way, you have something on your side, and you don't have to wait for them to reply to you, because typically they're probably not going to reply to you.
Yeah.
But that's a good way to.
I like that idea. I like having the fact that if they ask me, if you get into that conversation, you just say, "Hey, yeah, I do make them, and they're back at home. Give me your email, and we can work on something there.
Yeah.
I can bring them the next time I come to."
Similarly with the with like really small mugs, like espresso mugs, and really big mugs, I find that that's a more like there's a very select group of people that really want those. So I try to only bring, if I'm bringing 50 mugs, about 40 of them are going to be the average size, like 12 to 14 ounce mug. And then I'll bring like 5 big and 5 small for the most part. Like, that's kind of how the distribution works for me. That it's really in that sweet spot in the middle, because most people are going to gravitate to that middle. So, and that'll save you some space.
Are the oil bottles and the soap dispensers, I know they're essentially the same. Yeah. Could you just take like different tops? Like, are they completely interchangeable?
They're not interchangeable like that.
No, I couldn't do that.
Okay.
The oil bottles are narrower.
They're shaped differently, yeah.
I see, okay. And also, are you doing anything to your shot glasses? Like, are they just glazed normal? Are you like carving them or anything?
They've got trees on them. I've got a roller.
$6 seem cheap. Is that what you're looking at, Becca?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're tiny. They're
it
not
doesn't
like
matter.
Big. They're tiny.
Make them $8.
I saw
that's
my
how my mise en place
$10.
were. And they're the same. They're 100 grams of clay, right? And my mise en place are the same 8, and I did 3 for $20, and I sold a bunch.
So do that for the
shot 3 glass? For 24.
3 for 24.
Okay.
You sold 23 of the 24 shot glasses. That means that your price is too low, according to Tim C.
Correct.
Because ideally, you wouldn't want to sell everything else. According to Tim C, I shouldn't be
making those shot glasses.
Well, yeah.
Make whatever you want, but if you want to, it's partially like you don't want to kill, like the mugs. If you can't keep your mugs in stock, you don't want to kill yourself to keep up with the demand. As well as you got to think for the future of, do I have stock to replace to vend at the next show? Like, if you don't have stock, then you're really gonna shoot yourself in the foot 2 weeks from now, and you're gonna go crazy restocking.
Yeah. My feet, both feet have been shot right about now.
And those mugs are customized to the area, so they're very local.
Yes.
They're a variety of colors, and they're also like good quality. Like, they've got a variety of they've got the good glaze, they've got the attached piece to it.
Yeah.
Clean foot, nice handle, thumbprint edition thing. So, like, if you can't keep them in stock, don't feel guilty about raising them a little bit for your own sanity as well.
I think,
I raised the price. I went from 25 to 28 to now 32. I'm
you're just figuring. You're still figuring out where that balance is, right?
Yeah, the sweet spot. I'm still trying to figure, because I mean, it's like any small town. I mean, there's honestly, there's 3,000 people here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I can do that much business in 3 hours. And a good market, it's such a, oh my gosh, it's such a weird thing to be at markets here locally, because everybody has to come within the first hour because they're afraid they're going to miss out. So within the first hour, people are just like,
and that's locals that know about the show, or that's like visitors?
That's local. This is all local buyers, and they swarm you. That first hour, like, I don't have my stats here, but I actually keep, we write down like the time at the top of the sheet when, like, we're listing what people are buying, because we keep a notebook, of course. And that first hour, it's like crazy busy. And then the next hour, within that next hour, it's slowing down. And then within the third hour, people are not showing up. So within 2 hours, it's crazy. Like it's a frenzy. It's like a feeding frenzy. But the market that was out of town, it was like, and I was warned by another vendor who is local. She was the one that convinced me that I needed to go to the, this out of town market. And I'm happy she did, because I had to have the experience. But it was a slow pace. And so honestly, the markets in our local town are probably not common. Like, it's not what.
Yeah. You couldn't sustain that. You couldn't expect that.
Yeah, like people just kind of milled around in this, in the market that I went out of town, the out of town market. They kind of milled around. Some came back, and then they bought something. But I was so busy. The first hour was kind of busy because it was the people that on Instagram that knew that I was going to be there, that specifically went to the market to pick up their mugs or their garlic jars or what have you. But I don't know. I'm just like, I don't know what I need to take to kind of keep those people interested in what I'm making. So
yeah,
I think you should take everything that was above 25% sold.
See, and that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
But like my little garden markers, like, they're great, but I sell a lot locally, but I didn't sell a lot there. So I mean, I think we took like 5 of each. Like, we really didn't take the whole load of them.
I think some shoppers as well can get overwhelmed.
Leave the garden markers, take more of the.
Yeah. Go ahead, Becca.
I would say leave the garden markers and take more of the shot glasses.
Yeah.
4
for yeah.
4 for $10 is the price of the garden markers, and shot glasses are $6.
That's what we did at the Mother's Day market, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And also, like, what do you like making most? Like, what do you have? If you sold out of something, are you happy with making more of?
Yeah. Everything.
Anything? Everything?
Yeah. Well, like, I'm at the point where I'll make, not on a Post-it note, but on a dry erase board now. I'm moving up in the world. Got a dry erase board, and I'll write down what I want to get done in a week. And I'll put down, like, this week was goblets and mugs. So I think I probably got about 30 goblets made, and I just did 19 mugs yesterday. Like, just, I gotta get these out. I got it, and I've got another bucket of clay. So, and then next week it's going to be, whatever it is in speckled clay. I know I have to get more spoon rests done and shot glasses. So I'll put a list up and I'll just nail them out.
And is that a comfortable pace, or is that all right, ass on fire pace?
No, I like doing that though.
Okay.
Like, I like being busy, and I like doing the variety. Sometimes it takes me a while to get, like, when people ask for garlic jars, like, I'll make up a dozen or so, and then if they don't sell, then they're going to be there for a while, and that's great, because then I don't have to make them.
Especially when they're time intensive, that you can't crank them out.
They have lids.
Yeah, you got to spend time on them.
Yeah.
Okay. How much time do you typically have between shows?
Quite a bit.
Like a couple weeks, 4
No.
weeks? Do you do one a month or?
So you see, I don't have a schedule like you guys do in the summertime. This is my wholesale time. So I have, like, I did the Mother's Day one, then I'll do the July 1st one, and then I'll do one in September, and then maybe November, but then December.
Okay, so every couple months.
Yeah. I had my whole intention in starting pottery was to do 2 markets a year. That was it. I was going to be a hobby potter, and I was going to have fun doing it. And now I'm just like.
What happened?
Did
you enjoy it too much?
Yeah.
Okay. Do the sales invigorate you to want you to do more sales?
Yeah, and I do a lot of charity. So every market has a charity of choice. I choose one charity organization locally, and they get, a percentage of my sales. So that drives me too. That I enjoy that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got a good amount of time between. If you do keep stuff at home, are you worried about how you're going to get rid of those, or is it okay that you're going to do local markets in the meantime?
Just wipe the dust off and sell them at the next market.
So wait, when you do the local markets, is that still in that schedule that you're talking about, or is that schedule your remote schedule?
That's my local. Those are my local. I did the one out of town market, and it kind of freaked me out. That's why I wrote the question, was because, I do my inventory. I know how much I'm selling locally. So I kind of ball gamed it, like ballparked it with those numbers, thinking, okay, I'm going to need a lot of mugs. I'm going to need, this variety of wares to take with me. And it kind of didn't pan out the way I wanted it to. So, I mean, for other people, like when you go to when other people go to markets, how much do they take and how much do they expect to sell?
It's really a shot in the dark because you don't know what to expect from that market. You're building a new baseline with that market. You kind of have a baseline with your local market because you know what to expect.
Yeah.
And you know what sells, and you have data behind what sells.
Yeah.
And you're building a new baseline with that Easter sale that you did out of town. You've got something in mind. And then, if you do another market, maybe you do another one in that town so you have something to go off of. But like Becca was saying, pick the things that are 25% sold or higher. And that's a good, it may translate to a different city. It may not, but that's kind of the shot in the dark that you take with those sales that you're not familiar with. But taking your bread and butter stuff, like, the mugs are popular, like, obviously bring a lot of that. And then the other, just some of you probably have some sense of what people react to the most or what they grab the most, whether they purchase it or like what's going to get their eye to the booth and in the booth. Like maybe there's some of those things that you're most like known for or people gravitate to.
Yeah, it's true. It's those Lake Superior mugs, the ones that have Lake Superior on it, because people are so attracted because of our area and because of the highway being along the coast. That's where I'm thinking I have out of town markets or out of town opportunities that I haven't tapped into. But how do I do it so that I'm not like, I'm going to have to get a trailer. I'm thinking that's my next big purchase, is getting a trailer so that I can take all the pottery and the A-frame and the tent and, kind
of like what Andrew Linderman didn't he have like a pull behind trailer, like a small U-Haul size?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Mini one.
I have to do that.
I don't think his is exposed. I think it's closed, maybe.
Yeah, like a U-Haul one.
Yeah. I think dwindling down the number of forms you're taking will help you have more of that volume for the things that are going to sell the best. So hopefully that will give you longevity with your vehicle. I've been using that Nissan Rogue until I got that transit last year. So I've been doing 2 and 3 day shows, but it's because
in that one vehicle.
Rachel has to drive a separate vehicle to bring extra stock.
Okay.
And
so
it's really only for those 2 or 3 day shows that we've had to do that. And typically what she has in her vehicle, I pack mine to the gills, and there's nobody sitting up front, so I even pack pots in the front and in the floorboard.
Okay.
So there's pots everywhere in the Rogue. It's back to like in the Rogue, which is basically the same amount of space you have in your Ford Escape, I would suspect.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's the same chassis.
And she would typically bring 2 extra mug boxes, so probably an extra 50 mugs.
Okay.
And then she would have a bin that would have some bowls in it, so probably about 30 bowls, and that could be cereal bowls, berry bowls, soup bowls nowadays. Yeah. And then probably a bin that has some bigger stuff like serving bowl, pitcher, and maybe some stacked other, like maybe a bin of oil bottles, but like usually about 4 to 5 bins. Which is probably
a 2-vehicle trip.
Yeah.
And would you do and what's the radius of going with 2 vehicles? Like
usually about 2 or 3 hours.
Okay.
And it's kind of comfortable for us to do that because I don't know, it's not too bad. I mean, I still log the mileage and track the mileage so that I can expense it, so it's not a big deal. But I don't know if who you go with is staying with you typically.
Typically, yeah.
Okay, so then it's not too big of a deal, and you can expense the mileage as long as they're comfortable driving and spending the miles on that vehicle, then on that extra vehicle.
That's why I'm thinking a trailer's the next.
Yeah.
The next.
I mean, the transit's been great because I've taken it to 2 and 3 day shows, and it's perfectly fine. Like, I don't need bins all the way above my headrest or anything. Not that I was doing that in the Rogue, but like I can pack it really high and it's okay. I don't know if another vehicle or just the trailer. I mean, you could already haul something with the Escape, so maybe a trailer.
Yes. Yeah.
I never wanted to learn how to navigate with a trailer and back up and all that stuff. So
it's just little things.
Yeah. I'm sure Becca would be comfortable with that. Have you backed up a trailer before, Becca?
Oh yeah. I had to learn how to back up a trailer at the dump yard. And like the first time somebody had to do it for me, and then after that I was fine. It would probably take me maybe like 4 minutes of me just looking at the steering wheel and being like, okay, the opposite direction.
Right.
But then I'd be fine. It's been a while, but I'd be fine.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I would suspect getting a trailer and figuring out that stuff would be way more affordable than getting another vehicle. So.
Yeah, I think that's where you're thinking. The way I'm thinking too is, okay, I can't see taking 2 vehicles with the price of gas, but would hauling be less expensive? Also, I mean, it's easier if you have one vehicle and 2 drivers than.
Would that truck not fit more than the Escape?
Yeah, but it's my dad's truck, and it's harder on gas,
Okay. So that's a trade-off, right? It's like a little more space, harder on gas, older vehicle, more miles, less reliable, like
exactly.
Less comfortable, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So how far was How far was the market you did? Was that a couple hours or?
It was about 120 miles, 200 kilometers, about 2.5 hour drive. That's the closest. That's closest market and the closest community. The next one I was thinking of doing would be 5 hours away towards the Minnesota border.
Okay. Man, we're spoiled here, Becca. We're like, you can get to a lot of cities within 2 or 3 hours.
But I'm looking at the next market. If I go to the other community, there's more potters there, but again, my pottery looks different than what I've seen at their markets online. So
yeah, I mean, if those local things are, I would stick with those local ones. Like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and you don't have to spend much more in expenses. Like, shit, selling for 3 hours sounds great. I mean, you spend a lot of time setting up. It's more than 3 hours of effort, but
yeah. I mean, some were 5 hours, but I mean, 3 to 6 hours is typical, and it's not 2 days. It's like a one shot deal.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, yeah, you're right. And I was just telling Becca, I picked up another wholesale client, so I'm, like I said, both feet are shot right now, trying to keep up to wholesale seasonal work.
I feel like it's almost, I think you'll take this the right way. I hope you do. I feel like you're almost like kind of like keeping up with the Joneses as far as the markets are concerned. And like your situation is a dream comparatively to some situations. And like, we always want to do really good, and we always want to do better and better and better.
Right.
And I think that this, I hope I don't want to say that it's like obviously if you want to grow, you want to grow, but if you don't have to go to a market that's 2.5 hours away because your markets at home are just as good or better, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Like you
right.
said, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And I mean, like, it's one thing if you want to like try it out and, you know, test the waters, and like you enjoy going to them and like doing them. That's a totally different thing. If you do, then do it. But if it stresses you out, then I would just keep on doing what you're doing, because you're doing something right. You know.
But for how long? Like, how long are you going to be able to sell in a community of 3,000 people before they're like potted out?
How long have you been selling it? How long have you been selling in a community of 3,000 people?
2019, 2020, yeah.
I mean, that's 3 years, and they would have dropped you by now. If it, like, I think your tourist situation is a good thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, the tourism's good. I think you getting a dipping a toe into the wholesale is good. That can, I mean, shit, wholesale can go crazy. That can sustain you too. Like, if you can't keep up with I see a situation where you
won't be able to do markets anymore.
You won't be able to do markets, or you need, I mean, I think the difference maker here in what you're going to adjust over time is your prices. Your prices are going to naturally grow, and you're going to have to get comfortable with it growing a little bit. And it could grow only on certain pieces that you're like finding where that where that curve is. Yeah. And you know, keep going with those local markets, and you'll get notice from wholesalers and other retailers and like other customers that'll come back to you over time from just that exposure and that consistency. And the longer you do it, it's hard to plan ahead for all that stuff, but like it kind of naturally snowballs on itself very slowly.
And at what point do I hire somebody to help me?
Do you want to? Because then you're people managing.
Here. There's no one here. Like, there's no other potters here in Wawa.
Are there some young bucks that you could hire to help you prep clay or something, so they take some of those tasks off you?
My 80-year-old father preps my clay. My 80-year-old father is my kiln. He loads the kiln. He unloads the kiln. He preps he waxes bottoms on things. He lines. Like, the guy is a workaholic too, and I know where I get it from. So.
Okay.
But you know, he can only do so much, and he freaks out if I make 40 mugs in a couple of hours. Because Becca, I am doing a 3-minute mug now.
Nice.
Good.
No more than 3 pulls. In fact, you know, it's usually 2 and a little bit of, you know, rib work, and let's go. But
good for you.
But he's got to keep up to what I'm making, right? Because we have, like, everything dries overnight, so I have to do all of the handling and everything else the next day.
Yeah.
So So I mean, it's busy. It's busy, yes. I would like to do markets, but I understand, that this might be something that if I don't have the help and if I don't do it like if I don't have the what's the word here? Production.
Mm-hmm.
I have to. It's me doing the production pottery. But I think back to the point of the markets is what I'm experiencing unique as far as what I take and the sales. And I like your point, Becca, just like look at those and say, okay, next time just take the stuff that has 25% or more. Like that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
But if I were another,
you may get better sales. I think you may get better sales from not having as many options on the table. It gets them to focus in on what they want to get.
And if I were at a market with, say, 5 other potters, would that make a difference?
You never know.
Yeah. Because you can't plan ahead to know what they're gonna bring and then adjust what you're gonna bring based on what you think they're gonna like. I wouldn't get into that game because it'll just worry you. But
no, but if there are other, like, you guys have done this. I haven't done a market where it's like a lot of potters in one market. If my mentor is at a market, like he tries to go twice a year. He's 87 right now, so he usually goes to one. I help him. I won't go to the market if he's at a market. And there's another girl that's starting pottery, and she's got her stuff, and she's doing well. She's happy with what she does, but she takes like I want to say like 20% of what I take to a market. Like hers is just a very small display, but that's where she focuses her work. And
it could be she doesn't have enough as well.
No, she's a hobby potter. She's not a production potter like myself, where I like, if I'm going to make 10, I'm going to make 50. And I'm going to make sure there's 50 at least at the market, right? I mean, if I don't take 50 mugs, I'm in trouble.
Right.
At least in my mind. But that's not, is that normal?
I think you should try some of the ones around other potters. I wouldn't stay away from it because you're worried that you're going to sell less or you're going to take sales away from them. Like, in relation to customers are gravitated to like the work,
what they like,
and hopefully you advertise you're there, you'll get some people to trickle in for that. You'll get people that'll come in and see the Lake Superior and nobody else at the show is selling Lake Superior, or you have a handle that fits 2 fingers perfectly and the guy over there has a handle that fits all 4 fingers and that's it. Like, people are going to gravitate to certain things, and I wouldn't, like, I've sold at a show with 45 other clay people. I just did, and I still sold like $2,600. So like, you can still have a good show.
I think that's my point, is I'm not just looking at, because I think I'm unique. I think how much I'm selling at a local market of a population of 3,000 people is insane, right? And I'm very grateful. I'm grateful, and I'm very happy with my community that they like my pottery enough that it's sustainable for me. I'm thinking, okay, if I were to go to a normal market or show with other pottery people, how much do I take? Like, do I take as much as I do, or do I scale it down to just enough to fit in my car?
Maybe try just taking what's in your car. If it's a one-day show and you're probably not traveling that far for one day. Are you?
I don't know if I would. I would see what the markets are in the community that's 5 hours away. I would definitely not go for 3 hours.
The only thing I worry about traveling and not taking enough stuff is I'm like regretting not bringing an extra bin or two. And I'm like, shit, I should have, like, you have a really good first day and you're like, shit, I should have brought more of this thing. But it's like, it's okay. Like, it levels out. You learn your lesson. You figure out what worked at that show, what sold most, and then you use that for the next time. Hopefully you do that same show next year and you know from data what sold the best.
Okay.
And you can tailor what you bring. You are spending more in expenses, right? So if you want to keep it slimmer, shrink that variety of items down, but bring more of those best-selling items so that it's a good, like, at a glance, they look at your booth, they know the variety and the assortment of options that you sell and represent you.
Yeah, and I think I heard you say, like, people don't want to be overwhelmed with variety when they come into your booth as well. They want to see the stuff, but they don't want to feel like they're at a yard sale.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
And if those, like, superior mugs are your best sellers, make those focal so it's easy that people see those and draw. Like, if you know those are the things drawing people in, like, make it even easier to draw them in, you know?
Yeah. So instead of hanging them, I put them on that A-frame right out front. So that's why I kind of do like the T shape, so that the first thing they see is the Lake Superior mugs right at the front of the booth.
Yeah, I mean, I think you definitely have got the things lined up, and you're doing the analysis, which I would say most people probably aren't even doing. Like, you're keeping track. I don't know how you're keeping track of everything. Do you put it in Square or something, or are you just pen and paper?
I write it down. I do an inventory and I write it down, and then I have a little notebook, and when we sell items, that goes right in the notebook of what's sold. And then when I get back to where my workshop is, we unload and we go through each item as we unload.
Okay.
So we know how much is left over.
Okay.
On sticky notes.
Yeah, I mean, you've got the framework there to, like,
okay,
as long as you can keep up with the production, you've got the pieces in place. Like, you're talking to Becca about making things more efficient so you can ramp up the production. You've done my bookkeeping so you can keep track of the bookkeeping side of it. Not that you have to pay Becca and pay me to be successful with your business, but you're doing things and you're asking questions, and you always ask us questions to help you out. So
and I appreciate, you know,
like, I think you're doing the right things, you know?
Yeah.
And then if there's opportunities where you're, like, seeing where you want to play around, is this sustainable? Is this not sustainable? Like, maybe that's where you dip your toe a little bit more into getting more items online. Maybe you aren't taking as many things to shows, but maybe you set aside a few things for online. So if those sales trickle in and you're fine with putting the work into photograph, or maybe you have somebody help you photograph and do the online setup for you, maybe that's worth getting somebody to help you with.
Right. Yeah.
That could be a diversification method.
Yeah, I hired somebody to help me with my Shopify, like my website, and revamping it so that it was more streamlined this winter, during the winter season, sort of off season. And so that was a lot of help. But as far as pictures, I do all of my own pictures, but you know, like taking that one picture, and if I make the same blue mug, why do I have to take a picture of that individual item every time, like you would on Etsy, right? With the Shopify, you take one picture and it's your stock picture. So I'm learning how to do that. Like, I'm learning how to simplify a lot of those processes along the way.
Yeah. And only, like, maybe only put like 3 different options of colors or something, so that it's only your best sellers, you know? Exactly.
So keeping the options down to, you know, just a few colors that seem to be more stable for me. There's another thing. I have a new kiln, and it's hotter and it's bigger, and it's doing crazy things with my glazes because I make my own glazes. And I tell you, hot ticket, Ryan, is that turquoise.
The juicy turquoise, are you using that?
Oh my gosh. On speckled clay, can't keep them on the shelf.
Okay, that's great. Good to hear.
But I appreciate it. I appreciate all the help with just the business. Like, other potters ask me, like, how, if I want to do this as a business, how do I make it sustainable? Well, you do the work, and I'm doing my best.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you got the pieces in place. It's just consistency.
Yeah.
Keep it consistent, and then take those, keep your mind open to like the feedback customers are giving you, and if you're adding new color options at shows or setting up things differently, like try a little bit different of a setup and see if it, tweak a little. Like the A-frame needs to be focal. Are there other ways to set that you change up the booth that gives you better results, or you put more focus on certain items? So it's just kind of you're taking it piece by piece and like optimizing it as best as you can.
I think that'll really work as far as just giving, like, and I try to do like the seasonal idea where, some things are more focused than others. Like I make luminaries, which are candle holders, and those are Christmas things. So I don't bring those to summer markets,
right.
And yarn bowls to me are a winter thing. So I usually bring those to winter or fall markets. So trying to keep, again, optimizing my space, right?
Yeah.
And making sure that, and the thing that I do is I usually don't have time to restock in those 3 hours or those 6 hours, so I put everything out. And maybe it is a matter of not putting everything out at once.
Okay. Is somebody at the booth with you that's helping you?
Yes. So the way I've had it in the past couple of years is I take either one of my daughters and my niece, or now it's been my co-op student. She comes to every market with me, and my son's girlfriend. I always have two people as well as myself, and they run the sales, and I do all the meet and greet.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so typically I do that too. I'm the one talking to people, but I'm also doing the point of sale on my phone because Rachel doesn't know every single thing on there.
Yeah.
And I can do it quickly, but she wraps everything and packs everything and hands it to the customer and does all that stuff. So I don't know if Becca, do you see it as a drawback to have every single thing on the table? I mean, the only limitation is it looks a little busier, but
not always. I think it's fine.
Having everything out? Or
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, especially at your shows that you've been doing fine doing it, so seems like you're winning on that end, so you shouldn't stop it.
Yeah, plus it's nice to just be like, oh, do you have anything else? It's like, no, everything's out.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
then you're rifling through stuff to find that. Oh, do you have any more blue? And it's like, well, let me, dig.
Everything I have is out. Easy peasy.
Yeah.
The one thing I found, I had that clay sale and the yarn bowls. I had a yarn bowl. I sold like 4 or 5 yarn bowls at this sale in May. I think yarn bowls are pretty like wide range, like especially maybe it was because of Mother's Day. People were buying it for Mother's Day.
Oh, true. Yeah.
But there were some, like, I always bring 5 or 6, maybe 6 or 8 yarn bowls to a show. Unless it's a multi-day show, I'll bring more. But they're a niche item. Most people don't know what they are, but if they know what they are, they're like, ooh, I want to get one of those. So
now, I'm making my yarn bowls with 3 pounds of clay. So I have big yarn bowls.
Those are big boys, yeah.
Yeah. And it's because my mother, like, sometimes they like to put 2 balls of yarn in there, so you can like have.
Yeah, I do mine with 1.5 pounds for the small ones, and I do 2.5 pounds for the big ones.
I could probably go down to 2.5.
Yeah, and my bottoms are flat, and I put the cork bottoms, so like I don't trim an inner foot on them. I don't know if you're trimming an inner foot, but I don't think it's technically necessary. But if it changes the look of your profile and you want to keep that, then
They need to be a little weighty to keep them on the floor.
Yeah, I have a wider base. It's probably at least 6 inches wide on the bottom.
Yeah.
So it's nice and flat and solid. Okay.
Yeah, I have to try making them with less clay. Maybe I can whip them out a little faster. But no, that to me is a winter item, but I might try that. I might try getting some of those out there as well.
Yeah.
But,
substitute a few of those for some of those items you're going to leave at home next time.
I just want, like, I think the other question is like what, and I think you've answered this, like what is a good show? Like you were talking about farmers markets, how you were going to farmers markets versus those judged ones, right?
The juried art shows. And
yeah. So like, is it a sales thing, or is it that experience of the show?
Becca, what is it for you? What do you value most when you do a show? Mid-yawn, Becca.
Right in the middle of a yawn.
I asked you before you started yawning.
I think that it's very subjective because, I mean, it's subjective to the person. So, like, to Ryan, I'm assuming to Ryan, a good show is mostly like 85% dependent on the amount of money he brings in. To me, a good show is very little about how much money I make. In fact, I've made very little money at a lot of shows. Maybe it's because I haven't had very many good shows. But so I think it's very subjective to who you are and what you're expecting from the show. So like, you know, I would say like right now, if I made $4,000 at a show, I'd be like, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
If I made $2,000 at a show, I'd be like, great. If I made $100 at the show, I'd be like, okay, you know, like, fine. But like, also, if I had nothing, like a couple weeks ago, I had nothing planned for a day, and like last minute asked somebody if I could be in a show that wasn't really a show, but just like setting up, and I made like $160, and I was like, hey, that was $160 I wasn't gonna make. So like, you know, I think that really matters. It's all in your own perspective, I would say.
Yeah.
But
and like what the typical, like if you don't have a lot of shows and you don't have a lot to judge off of and comparables, then, you know, what work would you have to do to sell $2,000 online? Yeah. Alternatively, you know, how much would you have to hustle to do that?
To me, online is more work than in person.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like.
Go ahead, Becca.
Oh, I was gonna say, yeah, and like when I was selling out of stuff, to me that was way easier than going to a show. I could get $3,000 in a day without leaving my bed. Like
when you did a restock.
Have to ship everything, right?
Yeah. Yeah, shipping's easy.
Depends on what you like doing, right? So, like, I like shipping too.
Yeah, it really does.
I'm always afraid things are going to break. I mean, I'm doing the major packing on this little mug or whatever, 2 mugs, and I'm always afraid they're going to break. So they don't. But
it feels like it's a huge, like, there's so much. To me, it feels like there's a lot more expense involved when you're paying for shipping and you're packing it and your labor. I don't know. I just feel like that's very apparent versus going to a show and spending time, because it feels more like fun. I don't know. I feel like there's back and forth with people. I don't know. It's not so isolating than just sitting at home and packing stuff and taking it to the post office.
Yeah, I enjoy the interaction. I like to talk to the people and get their reaction and watch them as they pick up a mug and it just fits right, and they walk around with it and they look at all the other mugs, but they're still holding on to that one mug, and And I look at them and I say, that's the one. Don't look for another one. That's obviously the one, like talking to people like that, and just that one-on-one, or that talking to the people. I haven't seen my pottery yet.
Yeah, I would say so Becca talked about what she balances and subjectively how she assesses a show. I would say, she said I'm like 85% money. I would say I'm more like 70% money. Like, I do appreciate a really easy show. But, I did a farmer's market this past weekend, and it was super easy, beautiful weather.
Yeah.
9 to 1. I sold like $550. All right, that's cool. Yeah. I would say a typical one-day show for me, I would like to make at least probably about $700 or $800 to be happy. At like a baseline. $550, I was like, okay, like I can get over it being a farmer's market. It was fine. It was $25 to sell at, and it was 10 minutes from my house. So
that's perfect.
I had to get up early and stuff like that. That not as fun, but I got to do that anyways at shows, so whatever. But I was done by 1:00. And I would say like a gangbuster show, like if I do a weekend show and I sell 5,000, that's like pinnacle.
Yeah.
Okay, like 2 or 3 times I've sold more than that. But, if I'm doing a weekend show, I would like to sell at least, I would say like 2,500 is typically what I want to do for like a 2-day, 3-day show, at least.
Right. Because you guys are like doing shows. That's your main income.
And plus, typically I will be traveling for those. If I'm doing a 2 or 3-day show, I'm going to be traveling for it.
Yeah.
I'm not as worried about the expense, but I do want to like, hey, I'm putting more effort into driving to and from, and you set up the night before, you tear down, or not tear down, but you set up, you wall it up. One of those days is probably going to have some rain in it. It's going to be a little bit of a roller coaster with, the crowd of heavy, slow, rain, beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, you go get dinner, you come back, you relax. Like it is nice to not be at home some of those times, because you're not constantly like, gotta get to the studio or gotta do this thing.
Yeah.
So it is kind of like vacation-y in that way. It's nice to relax at nights after shows.
I think that's why I wanted to try the out of town show, right? Because it was like, you had to pack it up, and you got to the place, and it was a different crowd, and just to see what it would be like. And it was kind of like a mini vacation, but
it is really nice at the end of that first day to just zip up the booth and be like, all right, I'm going. Yeah. Like, most of the shows I do are one day, and I can't do that. But it also, I get home and I'm like, done.
You're done.
But it's really nice when you can zip up that tent at the end of day one, and you're like, all right, I'll be back in the morning about 30 minutes before we start, and I'll be good.
Yeah.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah, dealing with the elements is an issue around here. Weather, wind, rain, snow, minus 40.
Have you had events with that?
Yeah. That's why I was really glad I had the weights for the Mother's Day one, because we had like this north wind that just was blowing people's stuff down. They had paint display, like their paintings, and it all blew down. And the one lady had to put her car against the tent, the one side, because she had all these quilts and all this sewing, and everything kept, trying to blow away on her. And the girl beside me had jewelry, and her displays kept blowing onto the road. So yeah, you have to be careful.
Do those weather conditions deter customers from coming, or
no? The nice thing is it was a sunny day, and so there was, and we were surprised. We had, kind of a debriefing afterwards, how many people were coming right up till 3:00, because it was like an 11 to 3 event, and there were people still buying things at 3:00 and trying, as you're trying to pack up, they're still coming around and looking at what you have. So that was a pleasant surprise. Sometimes, we do our winter market, our bundle up market is a 2 Yeah, 2-hour event, but we do it in our those nests, those little cabins. So you set up in a cabin, and there are 10 cabins, and we do them like we were doing like Friday night, Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, and then Sunday, I think we did one in the afternoon, but it was different vendors. So you had your one time slot because they had a propane heater in there and lights, and
Right.
and you don't know what the weather's going to be like. Maybe it's going to be like -20 or it's going to be a snowstorm, right? But we've been very fortunate that it's only been -20 and people still come out. They just
Nice.
wear.
You bundle
That's
up
like-
and you're warm
That's
inside.
like 10 degrees. That's like 10 degrees Fahrenheit, by the way.
It's a little chilly.
Yeah. Yikes. That sounds like those events that Becca, you and I did at Washington Park with the huts and stuff. Except much
That's
worse
awful.
weather outside of the huts. Much colder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice to have those huts to sort of break the wind, but and they're short vending markets because of the weather as well. You can't be out there too long or else you get frostbite.
Yeah, I don't want to risk that.
Hypothermia. You don't have to worry about that. That's why we're really enjoying like 70-degree weather today. It's like, woof, everybody's like overheating because they're used to long winters here.
Nice.
But yeah, no, I enjoy doing the markets. I like that interaction, but like how much, that was my big question, was like, should I be taking less to these, or again streamlining it so if they want some of this stuff, like I'm trying to give the variety to locals because I know they've bought most of my stuff, so that's where I go with it. But then when I look at my numbers, do I need to adjust something because of my numbers when I look at those statistics of sales?
Yeah, I think one thing the numbers are telling you is that certain items are going to sell better. It could be because they're selling better because your price is too low on them, or it could be that that's the thing people are gravitating to the most and they're going to buy regardless of price. So I think it could tell you a couple different things. And it could be these items were more focal on your table, or the colors that you had in these items were more optimal for what colors people were looking for.
Yeah. Okay.
So I don't think you need to get as granular as like the colors you're taking of the items. Like you don't need to go that crazy, but like keep that in mind a little bit as well, that it can tell you some things, but you can, it could also be telling you other things. So
yeah, just keep doing the numbers and doing the shows and see what comes out of it.
Yeah. And to a point, like you do so many that you just kind of know. Like you asked me how many items, like I couldn't tell you how many items I take to a show. It's probably like 200 or 250, but I don't keep a hard number. I just know how many bins. Like I'm taking 2 mug bins that hold 30 mugs, and then I have 2 maybe 1 or 2 other mug bins as backup that have an extra 30 total, and then oil bottles I might have. I mean, I can estimate it by bins, like 2 or 3 bins, and then 2 big piece bins, and then a bowl bin or 2 bowl bins, or so it's kind of by bins. I don't know exactly how many, but I can adjust which bins I'm leaving at home when I'm doing a 1-day show versus a 2-day show. 2-day, I pretty much bring all of it that I can fit.
Yeah, 2-day show. I think that would be a challenge. My next challenge, a 2-day show.
Your vehicle is the challenge, the limitation for you, it sounds like. So
absolutely.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for the question. That was fun.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for the half hour.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
An hour later, hour plus later, hour and a half later.
That's great. I appreciate all of your input and expertise.
No problemo.
Awesome. Thank you. Best of luck. Thanks. Where can people find you with your business, your Instagram, all that good stuff?
Green Cabin Pottery.
Green Cabin Pottery.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Thanks so much, Cindy. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, Becca.
All right.
I miss Charles.
Yeah. Well,
no Charles today.
I miss Charles.
Yeah.
Man, I think he's been coming in hot in a few of the last talks that we've done.
Oh, yeah?
So he might be coming back.
Woohoo!
I had to mute my microphone.
Yeah, he's coming in hot. I don't know. It doesn't sound the same. Something's going on with Charles.
Yeah, something's going on.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, thanks, well, Cindy. Yeah, hope we didn't keep you up too late.
Oh, no, this is great. I'm fine. I'm still awake.
Okay.
Awesome.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Yo, higgity, yo. It's Becca here. Hey, just so you know, thank you for listening. And also, we have... What do we have again? A Patreon. We have a Patreon that you should go, and if you want to donate to, you could donate to it. If you don't, that's cool too. But just Google Wheel Talk Podcast Patreon. Don't do the other one, because there is a Wheel Talk on Patreon, but it's not us. So make sure you get the right one. It's in the show notes. And also, leave us a review because they're fun to read. Okay, bye!